ladies and gentlemen, it's Christelle Martinette. I'm under the weather. I've been under the weather since Christmas, and I can barely speak. But I can scry because this is I only use a low voice for that. For the other videos, it's very difficult for me to get something out. I just need some time. So we're at the new moon cycle here, and it is just a moment of being together. You know, there's the armies of people. I remember us talking about armies and all of us walking in flanks. But this is more like seeking out. It's more of a root where the roots are underground that are going sideways, and we're moving sideways instead of looking for a career jump. We're going. It's coming in so fast. Please bear with me. It's a matter of like the crab moves sideways. Like the crab moves sideways. It is as if we're networking in a way that moves horizontally, and you know, there are those who do this because they are career minded. But the general sense that I'm getting is that it is a complete shift. There was a shift. There was a very strong shift about over the weekend coming into this new moon. And I'm sure you've noticed it, and I'm sure we've all noticed it. Things have just started to look as if we could see them clearly. We could see the development of things more clearly. And it seemed that all of a sudden, without our need to intervene, things would just develop in the way that we needed them to develop, or in the way that they meant to be developed, or the way that they were to be developed. And the result here is that I'm seeing is a horizontal movement, one toward the other. This can take so many innumerable different ways of developing. Those who seek out some form of physiotherapy, for example, can move toward and gravitate toward things that, or people, or specialists that you've never dreamed were possible to go toward. And in turn, specialists, I myself, people who work with energy, are using it in a different way, in a way that is so much more powerful than it ever was in the past. Thought patterns you can see and you can feel and you sense as well have such a strong potential and such a strong influence, and you feel this. We're all feeling this more and more. And the what's interesting here is that we all get the sensation, we all get the understanding that we're not in it alone. It seems that there, like I said, the flanks of people who are moving toward this enhanced use of energy, this stepped up use of understanding the power of energy, moving energy, what a smile can do to move energy, what what a shout does. You can see it, and you can see almost the waves away from the shout, you know, the waves that move away from that loud sound. And it seems to me that this is just a beginning, of course. This is just the beginning of changing the way we operate, you know, changing the way we start to do things. And all right, let's take an example. You know, there are many people who do this type of work, who do card readings, who speak to others and tell them what they see. Let me just use that as a general description. And it's an honest. Okay, I'll couch that in honest. You know, it's an honest activity, because people are saying what comes to them. All right, let's say that. Let me put it that way. Now, the way energy works is that I'm going along on my merry way, and I'm thinking of a book I have to publish. I'm thinking of a book I have to publish, the problems that I'm having. I can't get past chapter 3, or I have got past chapter 3. There's something missing. There's the glue to keep all those chapters together. I have to find it because I don't. And so you're walking down the street literally thinking of this. And come to listen to someone speaking on the corner, on a soapbox, on a street corner, and it just doesn't faze you. It doesn't complete at all. And you're thinking, oh, whatever that person is saying, this is not for me. It doesn't resonate, you know, it doesn't resonate at all. Because, of course, you are in a different dimension of energy. Because you have these thought patterns that are taking you, away from different areas of thought. And so let's say that what I can say is that when you do then turn a corner and find another soapbox, a person who's standing on a soapbox saying something, but they mention a word that gives you a clue that you could use as glue, literally, for your book, then there you resonate and you tune in. And so there's not any bad or negative or unless you do feel it, you know, you get into someone's aura, you feel the negative energy, then you hightail it out, because that's called survival tactics, you know. But unless it's that, you can move in slowly and move out slowly from different ideas and different things that you hear, and the mind will concentrate on specific things that you need to know. You'll understand it. Now, the energy that I'm talking of and that I'm seeing, and that's moving, waves of people, it literally is waves of people, has to do with the first level tuning in. I'm going to call it that way. It's the first level of, I have a citrine here. The citrine is just beautiful tonight. It's the first level of tuning in. The sensitivity that's awakened by little energy sparks. You can feel it almost as if someone is touching you, and you think, something's happening, something's happening. You know, we're tingling. All of a sudden, I'm getting it. I'm understanding. All of a sudden, I can stand up. You know, I can see finally that I'm me. I don't like what I'm seeing. You know, and or I do like. And then you have an opinion, and all of a sudden, you're coming. What that expression is coming into your own. And it seems that this moon cycle, this new moon cycle, is the epitome of an awakening of the senses to a first level energetic shift. When energy shifts radically, you know, some of us experience it as being radical from one day to the next. All of a sudden, I have I get it. All of a sudden, I understand why this happened. All of a sudden, I understand that, But many times it's not as radical as that. And it over a longer period of time it occurs. But the realization in itself, it seems, and we experience it as a 1 second, all of a sudden, I get it. Okay, now this is a period of like that, a period immediately before the new moon, and what will develop here, how it develops, is really depends on in which way we move, how we contact or come into contact, and what we pick up based on the seeds that we have already either planted in our thought patterns. And what's interesting for me to see is the like I said, the sideward movement, the coming together, and this rambling, just like a crab does, a crab that moves sideways until it gets and it finds where it wants to be, and it'll stop, and then it'll move away, and it'll scramble away, and the movement is collective. It's like I said, it's a collective, and we are gravitating toward each other. And you see groups of small groups, 3-4 people laughing, playing. It can be as far as 7 or 8, and the sensation in this period of time is that when you see larger groups of people, for example, in a restaurant, you're in a restaurant with 2 people, and a party of 12 comes in, you get the impression that there's an overbearing sensation because of the number of people who have come in, but they are their own nucleus. They keep to themselves. They are together, and they have their own hubbub, and that's quite interesting. So then you go out open to see that, but then understand that it's not a threat. They're not a threat. The size is not a threat. It's the quality of the conversation. It's the quality of the thought. It's the quality of the passage of ideas. It's the quality of how clean and pristine the passage can be in a group of 2 or 3 people. This is what I'm sensing, that the size doesn't matter, but there will be movement toward another person, at least one other person, or at least small groups, until you feel that you've gleaned something that is of interest to you for whatever project, whatever seed you've planted, whatever problem that you have to solve, until you understand something that is worthwhile to you, and then you literally get up and move on, and you go spend time elsewhere, and there's no hard feelings. You just have that sensation of spending quality time, that expression, spending quality time with people. We're here now, let's stay together, and then we will move on. The understanding the transient, there it is, the transient nature of our existence is quite felt, but is appreciated. Now, that there's no fear here, there's an appreciation of transience, and it's quite a different ball game. It's acceptance. What I'm seeing is acceptance of our state, of our condition as humans, and it's not a bad thing. Of course, there are desires to come full circle. I have to understand. I haven't understood. I need to understand why that happens. Why this is a salt lamp. I have to understand why it wasn't possible for me to to be with that person, with a person. Why wasn't it possible? Is there a lesson that I have to learn? How many lessons do I need to learn? In this lifetime, this is the ultimate question. Why so many lessons? And it's really not a matter of learning actual school lessons. Okay, I get this, now I can move on, because then we're not with that person anyway. It's a matter of then learning literally about ourselves, literally about the depth that we live at, the depth, going into the depths and understanding what the word intimate means, what the word openness and actual desire and pain, all of the abstract qualities of thoughts that we receive that come to us as a reaction to physical pain, to mental strife, to mental joy, all of the physical reactions that come to the surface of our body. I'm thinking of blood pressure, but it could be the tingling of your skin, your eyes literally being brought to tears from emotions, having the sensation that a toe on your foot is hurting without ever having touched it or banged it anywhere, but it's the feeling that comes as a reaction to an emotional event or an emotional moment. And there's this movement from the body, the physicality, to the emotions and to the mind. We feel literally that at moments we have that sensation, that the fear almost that we're losing one of these three aspects of our human existence: the mind, the mental ability, the physical ability, and the emotions. And when that happens, there's a call for a calm, quiet, and just collecting our inner soul, our very core, and a lot of people call that consciousness, and I'm an extreme fanatic about studying consciousness and what's consciousness, and is it the soul? And Deepak Chopra talks about consciousness and the soul, and equates consciousness with the soul, and many others do as well. But it's so difficult to then find and study and measure. It's when you get to the core, you can't measure it, and here we are in this sidewalking movement that's similar to a sidewalk cafe, going from one table to the next. I know it's cold in many parts of the world, but still, those sidewalk cafes are there, and we do move toward and away from, to and away from each other. And what we are looking for and what we're picking out are things that help us in our survival. Whether survival means trying to understand our emotions, whether survival means, oops, oh, poor thing, whether our survival means coming to terms or paying the bills or coming to terms and understanding who we are, that is part of survival. Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, I literally have to read it. To read this, I literally have to look at my computer screen, because from my angle, from my perspective, I don't get the full view. And as you see yourself, Okay. I'm seeing rows of people brushing their teeth um, with electronic toothbrushes, and they're all moving them in the same direction. You know, this idea of, um, again, flanked movement, as if they were armies, as if we were moving together in unison. But it doesn't seem natural, you know. It's not natural movement. And there is this idea of, you know, if you're trying to analyze dreams, we could think of that as a dream, as the notion of wanting to become clean at our very core, inside our mouths, inside, you know, trying to get through there, through that cavity. And, and it's superficial, as the mouth's bones are, the teeth, you know, they're superficial. But there is that attempt, there's that constant attempt to, in some way, clean the outside, the exterior, and it is the core that that pains, you know, that causes the pain, or that where we feel the pain most, you know, or the experience of extreme emotion that is so difficult to process. And during this period, and you know, looking for the well over the holidays, every weekend is a holiday, into the weekend from now, which is the 17th, 18th, I believe, I can't remember, and 19, well, this is 17th, the 18th, between the 17th and the 18th here in Europe, into the 19th, 20th, and 21st Sunday. um, I'll, I'll be getting the, I'll be working on my throat and working on my my oral cavity to be able to use my voice this weekend, or I'll get the monthly readings out. But move me toward areas and groups, humans, other human beings, movement toward them where we are able to both tune in terms of listening to what we can hear and glean, but also remember I mentioned this energy, as if we don't need to hear what we are sensing. We feel it as we move toward one or another group, which is quite interesting. You know, this other, it's the beginning of sensation, it's the beginning of the feeling of the importance of energy and how energy works. And the closer we keep in tune to that, the more enriched we become. You know, the sensation of understanding our pain, understanding our joy, understanding our emotions, understanding how it's possible to reach the heights of joy, and unfortunately how it's easily possible to reach the pit of pain, you know. But as we move and we glean from others, and we take and what resonates with us, and we take it away with us, we don't take it away. What I'm saying is, it's not being brought away or stolen. It is moved to others. Then I have that energy about me that is joy, and those who move into my aura feel the joy, and so it's generalized. It is how can I say? It is communicated and passed on. Of course, remember, the person who's looking for glue to keep those chapters together is not interested in understanding your joy or feeling your joy, but, you know, so nothing will resonate in that person's mind. But there is, when you're looking for something, when you want to understand, when you are open to, that's when it comes and it hits home. When we need to hear something, when we're looking to hear something. I think it's time for me to go because I need to get some tea and lemon and honey. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back when I have a better voice, and expect the monthlies over the weekend on the other YouTube channel. Bye bye.